Good morning, 8Cs, receiving school students and teachers.
Good morning, Miss Irma.
You may take your seats, thank you. All right, 8Cs and receiving school students and teachers, I reminded you in our previous lesson that we were going to have a debate. So this morning or today we are going to have a debate, and we'll have the chairperson of this session to introduce the topic to us.
Good morning, everyone, pilot school students and teachers. For this morning, we'll be having a debate. Our topic is life in the village is better than life in the city. On my left-hand side, we have the government speakers, and on my right-hand side, we have the opposition speakers, which they will be going against the topic, and the government will be going for the topic. Thank you. I will be handing over the mic to our first speaker, the government opposition.
Once again, good morning to you all. Firstly, I would like to say thank you to our timekeeper and not forgetting our people on the desks. My name is Aileen Gavida, the first speaker of the opposition side, and our topic for the debate is life in the village is better than life in town. My opposition side strongly believe that life in town is better. As the first speaker, I will touch briefly on certain points, and my second and third speaker will elaborate further. Town life is better because 1, education. Children are taught better and facilities are better than village schools. Number 2, medical facilities. Because town has better and bigger hospitals, and so death rate is lower in town. Number 3, goods and services are cheaper in town. Towns like transportation and goods from stores. Number 4, in the village, you make gardens and wait for a long time while before it's ready. Whereas in town, you work 2 weeks, get paid, and buy food. Thank you.
The first speaker for the government side.
As you all know, we'll be going for a topic. Life is better in village because in cities job opportunities are less, and everything costs money, and life is complicated in the village. Whereas in the city. Whereas in the village, we have more things which are free of charge.
Second speaker for the opposition
You
side.
others, quiet, please. Audience, quiet.
I disagree with what Emmanuel has said because nothing is free nowadays. You have to work hard for it. Okay, city life makes life easier in the following aspects. Electricity is always available. Number 2, easy to seek job employment. Number 3, more education, schools available, such like private schools, computing schools, and even agricultural schools, which you can learn stuff from the village that you can learn in the city. The city can be a safe place to live because PNG government control law and order. PNG police and Australian police are always here. There is no law and order in the city. When the village council, when there is a problem in the village, the village council cannot take care of it because they may be related, and there is always one talk system. Whereas in the town, there are many court systems available. For example, district court, national court, supreme court. We learn and understand the level of government system last year. There is better accommodation, food available in supermarkets. In the village, there are only trade stores. But whereas in town, Whereas in town, we have supermarkets which have a variety of food and a variety of things available. There is better health care in the town. Most general private hospitals are ready, available. Most kinds of sicknesses can be cured at these hospitals. Some hospitals in the village, they don't have the facilities, medical facilities to cure certain disease. Like for example, okay, if someone gets shot in the village, where do you think they're gonna rush them to? They will rush them to the town hospital because the village hospital doesn't have the facilities. Papua New Guineans must appreciate to enjoy living in cities. To conclude, I am confident that life and environment in the city is the way to go. Our progress is going toward developing standards of living. Thank you.
And now for the second speaker for the government.
I go against what Daphne said to Emmanuel about everything costs money. In the village, doesn't cost because you have your own gardens to go to and buy food. Harvest food from. There's the seas to go to, rivers, that things like that in the village. Okay, life in the village is better than life in the city because basic necessities such as water, shelter, food are almost free as opposed to when living in the city. High potential for conflicts to arise. Multicultural groups living in cities is a reason for clashes in the city, etc. Dangerous to live in the city than in the village. Example, high crime rate. In the villages, there can be conflict, but going back to their culture, they can solve it in a cultural type of way. Going back to their beliefs and things. Interdependency. People are dependent on each other and in some way share each other's problems and cares, thus making life easier for everyone. Whereas in the city, every man is for himself. I think Abina said the education, there is lack of education in the villages. We have things like what we're doing now, the pilot schools who are watching us right now. That's a form of education. And there are schools in places like Central. Electricity costs. Living in the city is harder because you have to pay money. And water and things like that are free. So thank you.
Third speaker for the opposition, please stand.
Education is, to go against you, education is part of town life. To summarize on what the two members have said about town life is more better than life in the village, I agree with them because nowadays everything is keeping up with modern technology, whether you like it or not. For example, business trading for exporting and importing are done in town areas. Or if you are trying to build a school or a building at a village, you'll always get the equipment from the town. So that brings us back to our point on town life is more better than village life. Thank you.
And now for the second speaker for the government.
What you said about materials used for building schools and all that, don't trees come from the forest village?
The third speaker for government, please.
To summarize in what the two fellow speakers have stated, living in the village is better than living in the city because one, no bills to pay like electricity and water. Two, less expensive because you rely on food from gardens. Three, it's safe. Same customs and culture make it easy to plan, cooperate, and understand issues affecting life in the village. Thank you.
I go against what Bronwyn said earlier. I mean, we all know that timber comes from the forest in the village, but who do you think goes and cuts them down? who do you think processes all the timber? All the timber and all the resources are here in town. Or there are always factories here, and they process the timber. Okay, for example, if a village man went and got bush materials straight from the forest, whereas the town person would go and get the processed timber. Okay, they would both build their houses. Which house do you think would last longer? Do you think the village person's house would last longer? The town person's house would always last longer because all the timber and stuff are processed. I mean, if a natural disaster happened, do you think the town would be more affected, or do you think the village would be more affected? At least some of the town buildings would be still standing and people have a better chance of survival. But whereas in the village would be totally wiped out.
Government because as you said that there are only dams, Sirinirimi Dam in where Sogiri, that's out of town. But have you thought about the Hoala Dam or the 2 Mile dams? They're up there where rain can fall down, and yeah, they're in the town. Yeah. Have you thought about those dams?
The water from the dams with you state the water comes from the Serinuma Dam, so the source of the water is from the Serinuma Dam, which is in the land of the quarries.
Um, it doesn't only come from the Serinunu Dam, because remember there is also rain. Rain falls in other parts of the city too. So
Okay, does it rain every day? Does it rain every day to fill up the dam? No. When water runs out from the rain comes, it fills it up. And then when it finishes, the Suriname Dam comes. See?
Excuse me, audience and speakers, you are out of the topic. We are not on the dam and on the rain. The audience, do you have any questions against these two groups? That speaker for the opposition, please stand.
Why people move to town to find work if you are saying that village life is more easier? I'm saying that why people move to town to find work if you are saying that village life is more easier? I mean, more better if you're saying that. I'm saying why people move to towns to find work if you are saying that village life is more easier, then why are people moving to towns to find work?
Sometimes people move to town because families neglect them and they chase them away. And the fact is that everybody knows that village life is better than town life.
And another thing is you're saying why people move from the village to town, right? Then why do people build squatter settlements and then they're going back to the village? Financial problems, high crime rate.
Once again, any comments and questions from the audience, please?
Since the opposition is saying living in the city is better than living in the village, then why do the city dwellers go to the village and spend their Christmas holidays there?
Second speaker for the opposition
You
side.
others quiet, please.
People living in the village also come here for holidays. They come and they rely on their relatives in the towns who have jobs, like intermediate families. Relatives from the village come and rely on other relatives who have jobs in the towns. If village life is so better, then why are they doing that?
Life, we know that everybody, when they finish from town jobs and schools, they go back to the village. Because city life is more harder than village life, and people cannot afford to stay in city without their jobs. And the fact that people know, and the fact is that village life is much more better than town life.
If you are saying that village life is more better than town life, then why are more people living in town than villages? Why?
Most of the time, people from town, especially like foreigners, they go to the village to get lay people to work as lay workers to work for them and in their own companies. So it's not, most of the time, it's not like they want to go. And sometimes, maybe like there's a like death in a family or something. Then the people from the village come and then they go back. So it's not like they come and stay forever.
If you guys think that living in the city is better than living in the village, then why are some people in the city living with hunger and homeless on the streets? If you guys think that living in the city is much better than the village than why, and some people on the here living in hunger and homeless on the streets.
I go against what Teddy said about town children roaming the streets. It is not town children who roam in streets. It's the village children who come and roam around on streets, asking for money and asking for food.
When food is free in the village and water, how will you expect people from the village to come and roam in the city just like that?
Food is not always free in the village. What if there's a drought? What would you do?
The government answer a question.
If there's drought in the village, then that means there'll be no water supply to the city. Well, if there's drought in the village, then there'll be no supply of water to the city. And if the landowners think that it's not good, then they can shut the water down.
If it's dry season, we can buy water from the stores. And what about the village people?
What if the water from the stores all run out? Then what will you do?
There's a process called desalination that we can turn seawater into fresh water.
The water come from? You got Nambisto town. Yeah, okay, that LRB chief, if that's what you're talking about, it's public. You don't know what goes in there. It's polluted.
And also we don't have big equipments to get more water from the sea. I think your village has big equipments like that.
In the town we have these facilities, but in the village we don't. That's why the village people will suffer more than the town people. Because also the water supply from the store, it can also be exported from overseas. And the town people will never go thirsty or anything. It's the village people who would be more affected.
Any facts, opinions from Charlie, please.
I'd like to ask a question. Where do the market food come from? Market food, vegetables and stuff. Where do they come from?
As you can see in towns, some people make gardens on hilltops, so that's where we get garden food from.
Without our government and all that in towns, it wouldn't be possible for those village people to come and sell it in the markets. If there was no town, they wouldn't have any place to sell it. They would only be depending on barter system. Um, also, when village people want to come and sell their goods in town, where do you think they get the transport from? Our town people and our town services and all that, it makes it possible for them to get their vehicles and transport it to town. Without it, they would have to walk with all those cows and all that. Do you think it's good? Okay, okay. Those village people, they can make gardens and all that. But without the town, they wouldn't have a place to sell it, see? They can always sell it amongst themselves, but they have to come and sell it in the town in order to get more profit. Because in the village, they depend on themselves, see?
We're talking about life, how life goes.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna be say. Wait, they don't. Give it to them.
Any last comments from the audience? Audience, please.
And you guys said something about making gardens too. If you want to make a garden, you need to come to town and buy the tools and stuff to go back to your village and make your garden.
Have you heard of a digging stick? There's water from the sea, from the rivers. You can collect it, bring it to the garden. There's digging sticks. There's things to use. What do you use to carry the water? Coconut shell. A good example is Buka people. That's what they use.
One in general, Buka people only, but other places they use modern things, tools and all this.
Okay, now, that was the last one from the opposition side. We have the last one.
As a matter of fact, everybody in Papua New Guinea knows that living in village is better than living in. No Papua New Guinean can deny that.
If you say that the village life is better than town life, then why are you living in the city? And why are you moving into the city?
We are living in city because our parents are employed by the government.
That means you are living in a town life. So that means town life is more better than village life because you are living in a town life. See? Living in a traditional house or modern house? You.
Even if, okay, there are things like some houses have house winds and all those things. Those are traditional. And you're saying why we are living here right now. Then like ask our grandparents. They're the ones who brought us here, and you're taking it personal.
Why did they bring you in the first place? Because they themselves thought that the town life is more better than the village life. That's why they came here and that's why you are here.
Wait, they didn't come here. Like I said, lay workers. Some people are brought here.
We have a question from government side, please.
I'm gonna ask a question. What if people said there was gonna be a cultural day or traditional whatever in the city, and then where are you gonna get your traditional costumes from? What if the city people they said there was gonna be a cultural day or something about show or whatever about cultural? Where are you gonna get your traditional costumes from? Are you you're gonna get it from here in the city or
I go against rules that I won't bother going to the cultural show.
Okay, can we have someone to please summarize our lesson? One of the speakers.
To sum up, as a matter of fact, village life is better than town life because it's more easier to live in village life, and every proponent cannot deny that fact. Every proponent knows that when you finish your work or finish your school, you have to get back to the village because town life is much harder.
To sum up, besides our group, the opposition, we prefer city life better than village life because in the village you would have to work hard to get your food, and then you would wait for a period of time for your food to be ready, while us we just have to work, get our income, our fortnight pay, and we'll have to go to the store and buy our food to eat.
I'm sorry to disturb, but time has caught up now, so we are coming to the end of our debate. So that I will hand over the mic to Ms. Sirima, please. Thank you for participating, everyone.
Okay, 8Cs, thank you, receiving students, for having your debate. And that brings us to the end of our lesson. All right. Our keyword for today's lesson, debate. Thank you, 8Cs, receiving students and teachers for listening.